Hello, day 17, I think, of making videos to improve my camera presence for life skill and to talk about a day, a thought in the life as a human with schizophrenia. And schizophrenia is the real, schizophrenic reality is a real reality. I'm subject to a schizophrenic reality. And I guess I can get into a little bit here about why I don't call myself a targeted individual, or I do refer to myself as a targeted individual on some occasions, but why do I choose schizophrenia over targeted individual? And one of the reasons is because I feel like targeted individual terminology dismisses the schizophrenic experience as though it shouldn't be examined by society now that we have knowledge of various technologies and organizational behavior, political organization, religious organization behavior, military organization behavior, militant terrorist groups, corporations, now that we know that there is a behavior to do things such as cognitive war. I mean, NATO itself is discussing the fact that cognitive war is a real type of warfare and it's the new domain of war. So, how long has it been a domain of war for people on a covert level rather than now out in the open where NATO is talking about it? So, now that we know that those things go on, and we've known it really for some time since we've known it since the Nazis and Zersetzing in East Germany, and so once we know those things take place, we should really examine schizophrenia itself and what is schizophrenia, who are the people that are claiming that they are schizophrenic, uh, is it a front operation, to target people individually? So yes, you want to talk about targeted individuals, but I personally feel like it's easier for me to say schizophrenia because there's just a number of reasons why, but one of them is which I don't want to dismiss people with the schizophrenic experience, and I feel like targeted individuals oftentimes says we are not schizophrenic, we are targeted individuals. Those are the mentally ill people over there, and I think we should really examine the whole thing of what schizophrenia really ever was. And another reason why I don't do it is because I feel like targeted individual is potentially like a Grover Norquist political operation, and it's like a political project. And I actually did call myself a targeted individual for a number of years. And, because I was saying, like, well, I'm not mentally ill, and don't I was saying like I'm a targeted individual and everything, and then you go to these groups and you realize they're all controlled operations. People are harassing you in these groups. They have a particular culture where it's like you have to be of a certain type of mindset in order to be respected. It's like an in group. It's like nobody pays attention to you unless you are doing the in group thing. And they're saying stuff like, "Oh, write to your congressman and stuff," and like the congressmen all know what's going on. This is not a secret. You would have to be an idiot not to know what's going on. And so I just feel like it doesn't really make sense to just go that route to me anymore. I went that route. It was very unhelpful. People all, once you say targeted individual, people all either don't know what the hell you're talking about, or they can claim incredulity and say, "Oh, I don't know what that is. I've never heard of it." Yeah, oh yeah, okay, that sounds like schizophrenia, and so like, they're gonna push you into the schizophrenic label anyway, so I might as well take up the mantle of the schizophrenia and say like, oh, okay, well, let's examine schizophrenia. Let's grab the bull by the horns and say, what is schizophrenia and what was it ever? Now that we know that there are things such as cognitive war, there's brain control technology, there's political organizations doing gang stalking, there's, we kind of know these things, so we should really examine what was schizophrenia ever. And, that's my opinion. And so I also, and lastly, another reason why I refer to myself as a schizophrenic is because it does explain a little bit what takes place with my mind, because I literally can't go anywhere without thinking, being paranoid, and you know, uh, pretty much it's like they're doing all these things in the real reality, but the real reality skews your brain because it's programming your brain to operate in a schizophrenic manner. So it really is like I really do have this condition where there's a real reality doing all this crazy stuff, like I'm saying as a schizophrenic, but at the same time, because they're doing all this crazy stuff, they're programming my mind into like thinking things schizophrenic way. It's hard to determine what's real, what's fake. It's hard to determine people's intentions. It's hard to determine just people's motives, things like that. And so it makes it real difficult to discern reality. At the same time, I'm a very capable person of discerning reality because I have a very good brain. So, but because I'm being warred upon, it is affecting my brain. So, so that's why I talk about it that way. And so, yeah. Also, the targeted individual thing, uh, it's like you've been conscripted as a TI, a targeted individual, to join this political project, and there's like a script that you have to follow, and just the whole notion of like, you know, I do believe that there is such a thing as individuality, but I'm not gonna label myself as an individual. It's just like it like kind of separates us from society. Like, oh, those individuals over there, and and then also you're like conscripted into this project, and you're like a Roman soldier kind of was back in the day, and then at the same time, like you go into the targeted individual, and like the only people that say they know what's going on are other people claiming to be targeted individuals. And then these people, it turns out, you're not really sure if they are a targeted individual or if they're like FBI and they're just playing some sort of weird psychological game with you. And half the time they're telling you you're not tortured enough, and like it's like this pissing match between who's tortured enough and everything. And it's just like I just feel like it's easier for me to just say schizophrenia, and then I don't have to deal with all of that BS. And so, yeah, you know, and so those are the numerous reasons why I feel like it's easier to say schizophrenia. When I say schizophrenia, most people know what you're talking about when you say schizophrenia. They can Google it. It's a mainstream acknowledged condition that people have. So I just say I'm a schizophrenic, and this is what I think is happening, and you be the judge if you determine whether or not I'm sane or I'm insane. And so, yeah, you know, that's what I use to do. And you know, if I went around saying I was a targeted individual, I could get a lot of targeted people calling themselves targeted individuals saying, yeah, 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 but they'd probably be criticizing me because they have all these expectations, like you're not doing enough to stop the program, as if you have anything that you can do to stop the program, like you're going to write your congressman, or I don't know what they want you to do. Uh, some of the groups are a little bit extreme, and I think that's all by design to try push us into extreme directions or whatever. And then there's like certain people that have like an inside track on getting their program exposed and other people don't, and it's all disheartening. And uh yeah, so I will use it from time to time. I think that the targeted individuals thing is touching on some aspect of reality, but they don't talk about earthquake weapons that I know of. That, at least for a while, I didn't see anything talking about earthquake weapons or controlling the weather based on what you do, or sporting events, or politicians mimicking you and things like that, or like politicians knowing everything about the program. The politicians are all liars, and so they all know, and even Donald Trump, you know. And so I don't really want to be a part of it. And so I say schizophrenia. That's what you want to call me. Fine, call me schizophrenic. And it explains a little bit how my brain works now that I've been warned upon. Okay, so now that I've said all that, that was a kind of a long thing, a long explanation. Uh, I am lucky to live with my family here, and I was thinking this yesterday, and it's just like, man, I'm really lucky to live with my family, and uh, things didn't work out kind of the way I wanted to in life necessarily with the gang stalking and the schizophrenia and all that. And so I was a little bit, my hand was pushed towards moving home, but I'm really lucky that I have my family, and we help take care of each other, and it's a good little unit. And uh, yeah, so uh, I I sometimes probably take it for granted a little bit. I don't really ever take it for granted, but even when you're not taking things for granted, you are on some level. And so I'm just grateful that my parents let me live here, and I hope I can do things for them in the future when I go to work and stuff like that. And uh, I'm really grateful for the time that I've spent with my family. And you know, there's a lot of things in society that say like go your own way and do your own thing, and that's all fine and good, and I think that that's all great, and that can be very rewarding. But there's also rewarding of spending time with your family and getting closer, and uh, just spending that time, that precious time that we have. And now, so going forward, I'm probably going to live with my family for the remainder of our years together. And I don't foresee me doing anything else anytime soon, or I don't foresee that changing. And it's called almost a prerequisite for any sort of other endeavor, like a partner or anything. So, uh, you know, I don't even think that's gonna happen. But I was just thinking that I was like, well, what would interfere with that? Okay, like potentially you meet somebody and stuff, but uh, yeah. So I'm really lucky to have my family, and thank you for letting me stay here. Okay, goodbye.